Let's pick up on the NUMSA strike. Its members embarking on a nationwide strike action in the metal and engineering sector after wage negotiations deadlocked on Sunday. Our reporter, business reporter Kopani Gumbi, is in Johannesburg following developments. Kopani, good morning to you. We were struggling to hear you a little earlier. Just give us what the employers are offering, because the demand from workers is 8%. Am I correct?
Absolutely, fully, that is correct. The demands are 8% increase. Employers have said 4.4 and no more, which is the reason that they were deadlocked. I'm joined now, in fact, by the national spokesperson of NUMSA, to give us a little bit more about this. Thank you for joining us today. This is the first time in around 6 years that people in the engineering sector have striked. How do you feel? How did we get to this point?
Indeed, and some might even argue that this strike is long overdue. Our members are deeply, deeply frustrated. They have not received increases. Last year, they decided, because of COVID, for the sake of the industry, to sacrifice increases which were due to them last year in order to cushion the sector. Now, this year, when we're supposed to negotiate, and when workers are expecting that employers, that companies will give back now that they sacrificed, that was not what we got. Instead, employers made the kind of offer that workers viewed as an insult. I mean, you're talking about people who on average are earning 40 Rand, 49 Rand an hour. In most cases less than that, because there are so many employers who don't even pay the minimum rate. And yet employers are offering 4%. It's disgraceful. These are some of the lowest earners in this country. These are people with families. We know what the unemployment situation is. We know about the high cost of goods and services. Employers benefited when workers decided not to take increases. The least they can do this year is to offer workers a meaningful increase. So because of their stubbornness, because of their greed and the selfishness of bosses in engineering, workers have taken the decision to embark on a national strike. And this is what we've been calling for, a total shutdown of the engineering sector until these demands are met.
This is a significant decision that you have taken here. 400,000 people are possibly at risk of losing their jobs if there's a complete shutdown in this sector. How do you balance those with the demands of the workers?
Well, I think, first of all, that threat is used against us all the time by bosses to try and convince workers not to strike. We think that it's also important that why is it that workers must always carry the burden of saving the economy? When will the bosses in South Africa also carry a burden to save the economy? All of this responsibility must be borne by ordinary workers and their families. It's completely unfair. And this is why workers are so angry, because there are no systems in place to support families in this country. We know it's a fact that workers and their families in South Africa are struggling. I mean, everybody knows this. Why should we have to resort to a strike action? Why should we threaten the economy of this country? And at the end of the day, anyway, it's workers themselves who pay for this strike, because for every day that they strike, they go without wages. So do you understand that, again, it is workers who must make the sacrifice? When will employers care enough about South Africa to give back to the very same workers who are building these industries, who are making sure that this economy runs, COVID or no COVID? That's what this strike is about. These demands are just demands. What does 4% mean in the life of a worker who's earning 20 Rand an hour? It's nothing. And we are demanding that these employers who claim to care so much about the economy, that they come around the table, that they sit with us, and they engage meaningfully. NUMSA has compromised on its demands. We've moved from 15% to 8%. We moved from a 1-year agreement to a 3-year agreement. Employers made one offer, 4.4% for the first year, plus CPI plus 0.5% for the second year, CPI plus 1% for the third year. Disgusting. That's peanuts for somebody who's earning less 20 rand an hour. Come to the table, negotiate with us, adjust your position. They have not adjusted or compromised in any way. And if they're not going to take us seriously, then perhaps when production stops, they might start to take us seriously.
You have agreed that you will continue to negotiate even though the strike action continues. Where do you see these conversations going in the coming week?
We have been negotiating. In fact, we met again with CIFSA over the weekend. They made an offer which frankly did not even come close to trying to change the course of where we are today. We continue to urge the bosses to be serious about this process. We are ready to talk if they want to talk. We are open to finding each other. But if they are not going to come to the table and negotiate in a meaningful way, the strike will continue.
Thank you for your time today. That was the national spokesperson of NUMSA, Karinda Jagmohan, telling us exactly why we are here today.
Thank you very much for that update. Let's take you to Durban. This is where the other leg of the NUMSA strike is taking place. Karinda Jagmohan is our reporter on the story. Karinda, just reading from newspaper articles and the employer bodies saying that they have contingency plans in place as a result of this strike, and this includes locking out striking workers, which basically means that there will be those workers who will go to work in the middle of a strike. That might cause tension among workers. What are you seeing from your side?
Indeed, well, currently we understand there is, people are gathering, currently people are, trying to gather here at the King Dinuzulu Park in Durban, and this is where the NUMSA strike is about to begin. Now, with regards to contingency measures, we have heard the steel and engineering industry and the employers' associations around this industry speak about the consequences, the aftermath that could occur if the strike goes on indefinitely. Workers on the ground have already said that they will continue picketing until wage negotiations actually come to fruition. Right now, that has reached a deadlock. So what we understand is they say that this instance of the workers that are continuing to protest would rather deflect on the country's economic output, specifically here in KwaZuul-Natal, where a lot of the emphasis is placed on the ports of Durban. We've just got some disturbances around us, but at the moment we understand that workers here say that the cost of living has increased remarkably, especially after the COVID pandemic, especially after the July unrest here in KwaZuul-Natal. And what they are demanding for is an 8% wage increase in 2021, and next year they're also demanding a further 2% increase along with CPI. This is really the inflation rate according to the cost of living, because they say the cost of living has risen beyond what they can afford. Now, with regards to contingency measures, it's unclear what the employers are going to be doing, but in the distance we are now seeing some of the NUMSA members actually coming to the march, and so over the next hour or so they'll be continuing with their march to the Durban City Hall to hand over a memorandum to the Employees Association, and perhaps then only we'll be able to hear how the employees are feeling about this ongoing picket, how it will affect companies and how it will affect the economic industry. But we'll be taking you to that march over the next hour.
Karinda Jagmohan, thank you very much for that update. Let me tell you also that we do have reporters in the Eastern Cape, and that's just how wide this strike is.